Look, I've been in the pawn business a long time. People bring all sorts of stuff through my doors. But coins are special. They're not just pieces of metal with a number on them. They're little pieces of history you can hold in your hand. Every single one has a story. It might be a story about a king, a war, or a country fighting for its freedom. That's what gets me excited. When someone brings in a rare coin, I'm not just thinking about what it's worth. I'm thinking about where it's been and the hands it passed through over hundreds of years. It's like a time machine. Now you might think of old coins from places like ancient Rome or Greece, but some of the most fascinating coins come from a place you might not expect. Norway. Yeah, the land of Vikings and fjords. Their coins are incredible. They tell the story of a tough, resilient people, from Viking raiders melting down silver to a modern nation proud of its heritage. Norwegian coins are a journey through time. They show how a country was built, how it struggled, and how it came out on top. And for a collector, that story is everything. It's what makes a piece of metal priceless. What makes Norwegian coins so cool for someone like me, especially here in America, is that they're a little different. They're not the coins you see every day. They have unique designs, with Viking ships, fierce lions, and kings you've probably never heard of. Each design change tells you something was happening in the country. Maybe a new king took the throne. Maybe they broke away from another country. The metal itself tells a story. Was it pure silver from a newly discovered mine? Or was it debased with cheaper metals during a time of war? It's all part of the puzzle. So, we're going to take a trip. We're going to dive into the world of rare Norwegian coins. I'll show you the big ones, the ones that collectors dream about. We'll talk about Viking silver, medieval pennies, and the huge silver dollars they called spesiedlers. I'll tell you the stories behind them. Why are some so rare you'd be lucky to ever see one? And why are people still willing to pay big money for them today? Trust me, by the end of this, you'll see that these aren't just coins, they are treasures, and every treasure has a story. Let's go way back to the Viking Age. Before they had official coins, the Vikings used something called hack silver. It was exactly what it sounds like. They would take silver jewelry, plates, or foreign coins they got from raiding and trading, and they would chop it into pieces. Then, they'd weigh it to pay for things. It was a simple system. Weight was what mattered, not what the piece of silver looked like. You'd see bits of bracelets from Ireland, coins from the Middle East, all chopped up. It was a messy, but effective way to do business. But then, a king named Olaf Tryggvason came along around the year 995. This guy was smart. He knew that to be a real king of a unified Norway, he needed to do what other European kings were doing. He needed to make his own money. So he minted the very first Norwegian coins. These were called penninger, or pennies. They were thin, made of silver, and had his name and a cross on them. This was a huge deal. It wasn't just about making it easier to buy things. It was a power move. It said, I am the king, and this is my land. These first coins were pretty crude. The technology wasn't great, and they were copying designs from coins in England. But they were revolutionary for Norway. For the first time, there was money that had value because the king said so, not just because of its silver weight. These early coins are incredibly rare now. Think about it. Over 1,000 years have passed. Many were melted down, lost, or buried in hoards. Finding an Olaf Tryggvason penny is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's a direct link to the birth of Norway as a kingdom. The kings who came after Olaf, like Olaf II, who later became Saint Olaf, continued this tradition. They minted their own pennies, each with their own symbols. Sometimes it was the king's portrait, other times it was a religious symbol. These coins helped unify the country and centralize power. Instead of local chieftains doing their own thing, way to build a nation. When one of these Viking-era coins comes into the shop, you have to call in an expert. The history is just too important to get wrong. After the Viking Age, Norway entered the Middle Ages. The country was getting more organized, and so was its money. The kings kept making coins, but things started to change. For a long time, the silver penny, or penning, was the main coin. But as trade grew, they needed different kinds of money. You can't buy a whole ship with a pocket full of pennies. Well, you could, but it would be a huge pain. So they started making bigger coins with more silver in them. This showed that Norway's economy was growing up. One of the most important coins from this period is the brakteat. That's a fancy word for a very thin coin that's only stamped on one side. The design on the front shows through on the back in reverse. They were cheap and easy to make, which was good for the kings. They could make a lot of them quickly. The designs were often a crowned head or a lion, which was the symbol of Norwegian royalty. These coins are like little pieces of medieval art. They are so thin and fragile that finding one in good condition is a real challenge for collectors. The quality of the silver was a constant issue. Kings were always tempted to mix in cheaper metals like copper to make more coins and more money for themselves. This is called debasing the currency. When a king did this, people lost faith in the money. It's a story as old as time. A good king meant good silver. A weak or greedy king often meant bad money. For a coin expert, looking at the metal content can tell you a lot about the political situation and the economy of the time. It's like a history book written in silver. This era also saw the Black Death sweep through Norway in the mid-1300s. It was a catastrophe that wiped out a huge part of the population. The economy collapsed, and for a while, coin production pretty much stopped. When it started up again, things were different. The kingdom was weaker. This period of decline is reflected in the coins, which became scarcer and often of poorer quality. Finding coins from the years right after the plague is tough. They are a somber reminder of one of the darkest times in the country's history. In the late 1300s, something major happened. Norway entered into a union with Denmark. This wasn't a merger of equals. Denmark was the senior partner, and for the next 400 years, the King of Denmark was also the King of Norway. This had a massive impact on everything, including the coins. For a long time, Norway didn't even have its own mint. Most of the coins used in Norway were actually minted in Denmark, in places like Copenhagen. The coins would have the Danish king's portrait on them. This wasn't great for Norwegian identity. Imagine using money that all came from another country's government. However, some kings did allow for coins to be made in Norway. A mint was eventually set up in Christiania, which is now Oslo. These coins are really interesting to collectors because they are a little bit of both worlds. They would have the Danish king's face, but they might also have the Norwegian lion on the back. It was a way for Norway to say, hey, we're still here. These coins are symbols of a complicated relationship between two kingdoms. The designs from this period are beautiful. We're getting into the Renaissance and the Baroque periods. The coin-making technology was getting much better. They could create much more detailed portraits of the kings, complete with fancy armor and big wigs. The lettering was cleaner, and the coins were more uniform. They started making a wider variety of denominations, from small copper coins for everyday shopping to large, heavy silver coins for big transactions. It was a modern monetary system taking shape under Danish rule. One of the key figures from this time was King Christian IV. He was a builder and a modernizer, and he took a special interest in Norway. He visited the country several times and started a silver mine in a town he named Kongsberg, which means King's Mountain. The silver from this mine was used to make Norwegian coins for centuries. Coins made from Kongsberg silver, especially the early ones, are very desirable. They represent a moment when Norway started to reclaim a piece of its economic identity, even while still under Danish control. If there's one coin that screams, well, classic Norway, it's the spikeduller. This was the big boy, the main silver coin of Norway for a long time, from the 16th century all the way up to the 1870s. Think of it as Norway's version of the Spanish pieces of 8, or, the American silver dollar. It was a large, heavy coin, usually containing about an ounce of pure silver. When you slapped one of these down on a counter, people definitely paid attention. This was real money, with real value based on the silver in it. The silver for these amazing coins came mostly from the Kongsberg silver mines. This mine was honestly the pride of Norway. The silver was incredibly pure, and the coins made from it were known throughout Europe for their quality. The government was so proud of this that many spikedullers were stamped with a special mark to show the silver came from Kongsberg. This mark often included a hammer and pickaxe, the tools of the miners. For collectors, a spikeduller with the Kongsberg mint mark is a must-have. It's really a piece of Norwegian industrial history. The designs of the spikedullers changed with the kings. In the early days under Danish rule, they featured the portrait of the reigning Danish monarch, but the reverse side often had the Norwegian coat of arms, the crowned lion holding an axe. This was a consistent symbol of Norwegian heritage. As time went on, and especially after Norway got its own constitution in 1814, the designs became more distinctly Norwegian. Even when they were in a new union with Sweden, the spikeduller was a coin that felt truly Norwegian. Some of the rarest and most valuable Norwegian coins are speakedaler from specific years, or with unusual errors. For example, a speakedaler from a year with very low mintage can be worth a fortune. Sometimes a die would crack, creating a unique mark on a small number of coins. Collectors, well, they go crazy for stuff like that. A rare specudaler in pristine condition is the holy grail for many collectors of Scandinavian coins. It represents the pinnacle of classic Norwegian coin making, a beautiful chunk of silver with a story to tell. Every country has that one coin, the one that even non-collectors have heard of. For the United States, it might be the 1933 double eagle. For Norway, it's the 1925 2 kroner. This coin has a story that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. It was minted to celebrate the 800th anniversary of the Norwegian Parliament, the Storting, moving to Oslo. It was supposed to be a special commemorative coin, but not necessarily a super rare one. The plan was to mint 100,000 of them, but that's not what happened. The story goes that the coin was designed and the dies were made, but when the first few coins were struck, someone important, maybe the Minister of Finance or the director of the mint, didn't like the design. They thought the Norwegian lion on the coin looked weak or strange. They ordered production to be stopped immediately, the dies were to be destroyed, and a new design was to be made. But here's the thing, a few of the coins had already been made. No one knows the exact number. Some say a dozen, some say more. For years nobody even knew these coins existed. They were just a footnote in the mint's records. Then, in the 1950s, one of them turned up. A collector found it and realized what it was. A coin that wasn't supposed to exist. The news spread like wildfire through the collecting community. It became a legend, the ghost coin of Norway. Over the years, a few more have surfaced, confirming the story. Each time one comes up for auction, it's a massive event. The price goes through the roof because it's the ultimate prize in Norwegian numismatics. Owning a 1925 2 kroner is like owning a piece of a myth. It's not just rare because of a low mintage number, it's rare because of its dramatic story of being rejected and ordered destroyed. The few that survived are like escapees from history. We've had a lot of rare coins come into the shop, but a coin with a story like that is on another level. You're not just buying a coin, you're buying the legend that comes with it. It's the perfect example of how a simple twist of fate can turn a regular piece of metal into an iconic treasure. In 1905, a huge change happened. The union with Sweden was dissolved, and Norway became a fully independent kingdom for the first time in centuries. This was a moment of immense national pride, and you can see it right on their coins. They immediately started designing new money that was purely Norwegian. No more Swedish kings on the front. Instead, they put their own new king, Håkon VII, on the coins. The designs celebrated Norwegian nature, history, and culture. It was a fresh start. The coins from this period are beautiful and full of symbolism. They feature Viking ships, ancient stave churches, and animals native to Norway. The materials also changed. They moved away from the old specudaler system and fully adopted the krone, plural, kroner, as their currency, which was divided into 100 øre. The early coins of King Håkon VII are very popular with collectors. They represent the birth of modern Norway. Finding a complete set from his long reign, which lasted 52 years, is a fun challenge for any collector. World War II was another dramatic chapter. Norway was occupied by Nazi Germany from 1940 to 1945. During this time, the Germans took over the mint and produced coins with no king's portrait and no royal symbols. Instead, they had a hole in the middle and the German puppet government's coat of arms. Meanwhile, the Norwegian government in exile, led by King Håkon, minted their own coins in London. These London series coins are a powerful symbol of resistance. They were made to be used after Norway was liberated. After the war, Norway got back on its feet, and its coins reflected a new era of peace and prosperity. The designs became more modern and sleek. Today, Norwegian coins continue to celebrate the nation's heritage. They feature portraits of the current monarch, King Harald V, alongside designs that honor everything from Norwegian sports heroes to famous artists. Even though people use cards and digital payments more and more, these coins are still a way for Norway to put its identity out into the world, one krone at a time. So, Why do people get so obsessed with collecting these old Norwegian coins? It's the thrill of the hunt. It's about finding that one piece that's missing from your collection. For some, it's about connecting with their heritage, maybe their grandparents came from Norway, and collecting these coins is a way to touch that history. For others, it's purely about the challenge. Norwegian coins, especially the rare ones, don't just fall into your lap. You have to search for them at auctions, at coin shows, and online. The community of collectors is a big part of the fun. You meet people who are just as passionate as you are. You trade stories, share knowledge, and sometimes, you might even trade coins. There are experts who have spent their entire lives studying these things. I always say, you gotta know what you're looking at, or you're gonna get burned. So talking to these experts is key. They can tell you if a coin is real, what its grade is, and what makes it special. It's a whole world with its own language and its own superstars. For an American collector, Norwegian coins offer something exotic and different. They're not the Lincolns and Jeffersons we grew up with. The history is different, the art is different, and the stories are fresh. Starting a collection can be easy. You can pick up some of the more common modern coins for not a lot of money. But then you get hooked. You start wanting the older stuff. The silver coins, the $. Before you know it, you're saving up for that one rare piece from the 1700s. It's an addiction, but a healthy one. The condition of the coin is everything. A common coin in perfect, uncirculated condition can be worth way more than a rare coin that's been beaten up. Collectors use a grading system to describe the condition, from poor all the way up to mint state. Learning how to grade coins is a skill that takes years to master. You have to look for the tiniest scratches, the slightest wear on the high points of the design. It's this attention to detail that separates a casual collector from a serious numismatist, and it's what determines if a coin is worth $10 or $10,000. At the end of the day, you might ask, why does any of this matter? They're just old coins. But they're not. Each one is a survivor. Think about a silver coin minted 300 years ago. It was used in markets, carried in pockets, maybe hidden under a floorboard during a war. It saw kings come and go. It saw a nation struggle for its identity and finally win its independence. It's a witness to history. Holding it is like shaking hands with the past. You can't put a price on that feeling. The value of these coins isn't just about supply and demand. It's about the story. The more dramatic the story, the more people want the coin. The 1925 2 kroner is the perfect example. It's valuable not just because it's rare, but because it has this incredible backstory of being rejected and destroyed. People love a good story, and these coins are packed with them. They are tangible artifacts that make history real and exciting. They're much more than just an investment. They are a connection to a national epic. For Norway, these coins are a source of national pride. They are a gallery of the country's art, its leaders, and its symbols, all in miniature. From the fierce Viking Age pennies to the elegant modern designs, they trace the evolution of a nation. They show a journey from a scattered collection of Viking chiefdoms to a proud, independent, and modern country. In a world that's becoming more digital, these physical objects serve as a powerful reminder of where they came from and the journey it took to get here. So, the next time you see an old coin, don't just look at the date. Think about the story it could tell. Think about the world it came from, whether it's a Roman denarius, an American Morgan dollar, or a Norwegian specie dollar. It's a piece of a much larger puzzle. It's a legacy cast in metal, a story waiting to be told. And for me, that's the real treasure. It always has been. And you never know what's going to come through that door.